Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Flying with Friends, the first 50 years. Today is really exciting for me. I've got my great buddy, Rich, here. And from the flying perspective, of all of my friends everywhere in the world, Rich is my longest running aviation friend. We were in the Air Force together at Myrtle Beach, 1976. And that's when we had our first flight together. All my flights before that, at Keesler, there's none of those people that I'm in touch with. So this is my oldest flying friend. And so I just want to welcome Rich Cannon. Rich, welcome to the channel. And if I may, just like, what are your memories of those days back at?
Oh my goodness. Well, the hubris of the young, that should explain quite a bit. But we'll get into a little bit of detail. And I remember our first flight together. Mike and I, one day, Mike decided actually, he's going down to his hometown, Titusville. And we grabbed a little Cherokee PA-28 from North Myrtle Beach Airport. He invited me along to meet his family, head on down the coast from Myrtle Beach. And we ran into a little difficulty. There's an acronym for it, IFR. That's right. And at the time, Mike wasn't instrument rated. But here's where the hubris comes in. We just decide, well, we're going. We'll be okay. Well, we made it as far as Hilton Head Island in South Carolina, which wasn't a very long trip. We parked the airplane. We were a bit hungry, and I think we might have had $40 between us. And that
4 or 40?
Well, 40 may be a stretch. So we stuck our thumbs out from the airport, and this gentleman picked us up and told us, well, we can get a burger at the 19th hole at one of the golf courses on Hilton Head. Yep. There we go. Yep. Sorry about that. So anyway, we did that. We hitchhiked back to the airport, jumped in the plane. We made it as far as Jekyll Island, which I think we could have thrown a baseball that far. But anyway, then we jumped in the airplane again, and we're going to make it to Titusville come heck or high water. And as we were coming out of clouds, I pointed out to Mike that I think we may be over an airport that we shouldn't be over. And he said, how's that? And I said, well, there's a DC-9 below us taking off. I believe it was Brunswick Airport. So anyway, we decided we better land pretty quick. So we landed at Fernandina Beach. It was dusk probably. Yep. And we were fortunate enough to meet a fellow he was the jump master at Fernandina Beach. And I think the deal was he'll let us sleep in his trailer that night if Mike takes him for a ride in the morning in the airplane. So we did. We went out for pizza that night, had a couple of beers, crashed at this guy's trailer, woke up in the morning and ended up going to Titusville. But it was a heck of a trip for our first flight together. Unforgettable. We've told that story many, many times. What do you remember about it?
Well, when you talk about IFR, one of my rules, I forget where I adopted this at, but it's never fly faster than your angels can fly. So, because we were protected. I don't know how we survived that trip. The weather was horrible. You know, I'd call flight service and they'd give me the briefing of VFR flight is not recommended, you know, and thankfully it was all kind of thunderstorm activity. So you could wiggle yourself around, and navigation was easy from Myrtle Beach to Titusville. You just follow the coastline south. But there were these giant, you know, southeastern thunderstorms, and we were just kind of weaving around and trying to stay out of the weather because.
Well, we made 3 stops along the way, which we didn't think we'd have to make. It was supposed to be a trip right from North Myrtle Beach to Titusville, but Hilton Head, Jekyll Island, and Fernandina Beach got in the way. But it was a fun trip. We had a blast.
We survived.
We did. And I met Mike's family. We've been best friends since then. 49 years now. We talk to each other every day on the phone and have been for quite some time. In any event, that was one of the first times we went flying. And then a second time, around the same time, I don't remember if it was just prior or just after, I had relatives in Newberry, South Carolina, and we took a 150 or
Cessna,
152.
I think it was a Cessna 150. Yeah.
150. We took over to Newberry and landed at the airport, and all my cousins and they were all pretty impressed that I knew somebody with an airplane. But the great thing at the time, being in the military, and correct me if I'm wrong, renting an airplane wet back then, I think, was about $90 an hour. And through the VA, I think you had to pay 10%.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it was really pretty inexpensive for Mike to do that. So we were pretty lucky. I was an air traffic controller at Myrtle Beach. Mike at the time was a radar repairman working in the RAPCON with us. And that's how we became friends. He had a motorcycle. I had a Roadrunner. We'd go back and forth. You take this that day. And so Mike had a Honda 750. I had a Plymouth Roadrunner. And we just had a great time. And if you fast forward, Mike's a member of our family, really. He knows all of my kids, my grandkids, 2 wives. Not at the same time. I'm not from Utah. But Mike and I have been best friends for quite some time. We actually take a trip every year, guys' trip. We've hiked Cannon Mountain in Acadia State Park in Maine. We've gone to my hometown outside of Boston, Gettysburg, which was fantastic. That was the most recent, and the Wright Museum.
Yep.
So I've got a lot of history with this guy. He's a pretty terrific human being. And if we go to our next flight together, my wife and I have a place down near Stuart, Florida, and Mike came down in his Game Bird one day. And we went up for an absolute thrilling ride in that thing. And we went by our condo and took some pictures. And Mike said something like, "Get your camera ready. I'm going to do some maneuver. I'm not a pilot, so I don't know what the maneuver was called." He says, "Get your camera ready." So I got my camera ready, and I got the most thrilling, absolute wonderful video of my left foot. Because of the G's, I went down, and that was it. So I didn't erase it. I kept it to remind me that I was absolutely not in control. So that was a pretty thrilling experience, and never went in his first decathlon, or this one for that matter. But the Game Bird was a real thrill. That was the little blue hot rod.
Oh man,
wonderful!
I love that airplane.
Yeah.
It was really
and so you talk there, Mike.
Well, I think when you talk about 49 years of friendship, I think it's a testament, kind of parallel things. One is we're talking about aviation and flying with friends and that. But I think that connection was made through the military.
Sure, absolutely.
And I think the benefits of, for each of us coming from very different backgrounds and all that, we took a chance. We leapt into the unknown,
Right.
joined the Air Force, and it served both of us really well. All the things that you learned, and but the most important thing, I learned how to fly, which has served me well. But I think the friendships, that we have, how do you value a 49-year friendship?
It's just a wonderful thing.
It's priceless.
We talk about it every day.
Yeah. And I think that that's a side benefit of joining the military. Young kids talk about, I don't want to join the military. I have to get my hair cut. I have to march and stuff like that. And I go, wait a second. There's benefits that you're going to get that go so far beyond your little haircut and learning how to march and blah, 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 that, when you fast forward in your life and you're getting close to the end, wouldn't you want to have a friend that you can, if you're so rich in friends that you don't need that, well then congratulations, good for you. But I feel like for me, the biggest benefit I got from joining the military was a whole host of friends. And other episodes you've seen Brad Mismer, Dave Yakabach, and there's going to be other people that are going to come onto this channel that are Air Force buddies of mine that I think that these friendships have lasted. And the aviation flying is always good and fun and all that, but it's I think these things that go outside of that. So
Well, the military for sure gave us both an opportunity that we probably didn't think we had
right, yeah,
if we stayed with
Yep.
civilian life. Certainly for me, at 19 years old, I briefly went to college. It wasn't for me at the time. And there was an industrial accident where I worked, an electroplating place. I mean, just a toxic dump of a place. And at 19 years old, a couple people got really hurt there during that incident. And I'm thinking at 19 years old, what am I doing? I'm better than this. I need another opportunity. And for me, the best opportunity was to go into the military. My father was a World War II veteran, Navy veteran in the Pacific Theater. And the greatest generation didn't talk too much about their experiences. They were more subdued, I think, and didn't talk a lot. But he was proud of some of the things he did, one of which was going to the South Pole with Byrd in 47, I believe. And he talked about that quite a bit. He didn't necessarily talk about the war. But I thought for him, the military was just a giant leap forward. And maybe it was time for me to see where that leap forward would take me. And it was the greatest decision that I ever made because it helped me jumpstart my real life and my professional life. I did get out of the Air Force after 4 years, went to work for the FAA as an air traffic controller, went on strike in 1981, but I love President Reagan because he gave me a new opportunity, several new opportunities, and things have worked out pretty well. Never had the itch to fly, although Mike let me take control a couple times back when we were younger. I realized I probably wasn't going to be a very good pilot, but I'd be a hell of a controller. So I stuck with that. Stuck with it as long as I could.
Yeah,
it's not like you could go to work for another air traffic control company, but it worked out well for me. And Mike and I have had this long friendship, and not to really be so redundant, but we do speak with each other every day. And we could be on the phone for 5 minutes or 50 minutes. We often discuss world events, investments, all kinds of things, family. We've had very abundant lives, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that the Air Force gave me, grateful for this guy right here, who's a wonderful human being. And
likewise, yeah.
I think this Flying with Friends the first 50 years. Here's to another 5.
As many as we can get.
Not another 50.
Yeah,
we'll be setting all kinds of records.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us. This is another episode of Flying. Oh, wait, one more thing?
No, peace, baby.
Oh, okay, peace out. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Another episode of Flying with Friends, the first 50 years. My good buddy, Rich Cannon.
As you were.
Look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you.